Hello, everyone. My name's Phil Calvert, and a very warm welcome to the Financial Advisor Mastermind and Challenge. Throughout this week, advisors, leading experts, and consultants to the financial planning profession are sharing amazing insights into just what makes a world-class financial advice business. Today, I'm delighted to be speaking with someone who is well known to many in the financial planning community and who has a passionate interest in financial life planning. In fact, she was the first female Kinder registered life planner in the UK. A very warm welcome to you, Tina Weeks.
Good morning, Phil. Thank you for having me.
Great to see you. Whereabouts are you today?
I'm working from home today in Barnet.
Very nice too. And where else are your offices?
So we have an office in Harrogate, in a little village called Holmesburg, and we have an office in Ripley. We have our admin hub in Lincoln, where Clive and the team are based, and then we've got an office down in Cornwall.
So you're growing quite nicely, but for those that don't actually know about you and who you are and how you came to be doing what you are now, can you just give us a bit of a backstory as to how you got into this and how it's led to you doing what you do today?
Sure. If I try and rewind the clock, I'd have to probably go back to 2008. And when the credit crunch hit, it made a massive difference to me. And at the time, I was trying to run a mortgage brokerage, and we really hit hard times. We lost all of our business, and looking back, I can see that that's really where I learned a lot about what I know now and the sort of things that I work with my clients about. And actually, I'm even bringing to my coaching sessions with other financial planners. But at that time, which was really, really difficult, I was really struggling to picture this financial planning business that I had in my head, to picture how actually working with clients the way I wanted to could be a business, could be something that could work. And if you recall, because we knew each other at the time, Phil, I was getting quite a lot of criticism at the time about the fact that I was focusing so much on the relationship part of what we do. And many people said maybe I should focus more on the technical side. But I think that's a given. I think when you sit down with a financial planner, it's a given that they know their stuff. What I wanted to make sure I did to the best of my ability was that relationship piece. And at the time, when I was going through such a difficult time and I couldn't really see if the direction I was going in was the right one, I just chose to take that direction blindly.
Yeah, because certainly in the early days, life planning had a bit of a rough ride. I think there were perceptions about it that weren't really true. What was it about it that made you stick with it?
Well, thinking about what the rough time was about, I think it was because people, and certainly other financial advisors or financial planners, thought that it was an area that we shouldn't be going down. They thought that maybe we were going down a psychotherapy route, or something that really didn't have much of a place in financial planning. And I think for me, it wasn't like that at all. I didn't see it like an additional service. For me, it was just about doing my job better. And because I could see that talking to people about their money was so much more than that, I had to make sure that me and everyone else in my business got that there's so much more to this, and this can really make a difference to people's life if we get it right. So that's why I stuck with it, because I could see through the work that I was doing with people that it made a real difference. And then that encouraged me to do more and more and really build on these skills, so that actually I can say now I have a relationship-based business.
That's interesting.
All the other things we do, the money management, the estate planning, the other product-driven pieces of the puzzle are simply that, just pieces of the puzzle. The focus is the relationship, trying to get people inspired enough, inspiring themselves enough to really do the things that they've either always wanted to do, or help them figure out what those things are. So that can be the biggest part of the work that we do, not just managing someone's money.
That's really interesting. Just tell us a little bit more about what you mean by a relationship business.
Sure. I think if people are going to trust you and share with you the things that are really important to them, then you have to have a relationship with that person. That means that you have taken the time to really get to know them, but almost so much more than that, understood where they're coming from, understood what makes them tick, understood what's important to them, what gives their life meaning. And that's a lot more than just asking questions. It's engaging on a human level that actually we don't do very often. And I know it was something that I had to learn. It was so important. I had to put all my energy into making sure I did that bit right. Because when I did that, and when I understood that everything was about relationship, then everything else became easier and everything else became more fun. And actually this job, if you want to call it that, became so fulfilling. And you know, fun is a word that I use all the time in what we do. I love what I do. I love working with people. And I think if I had stayed as a wealth manager type of business, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's the sort of business that you want to run and that's how you've prepared your client proposition, I have no problem with that. That's just wasn't me. For me, I was much more drawn to the relationship part, and I wanted to make sure that every part of our business revolved around that.
And what sort of clients do you have? I presume this approach works with all kinds of clients.
Yeah, I mean, some people say, you know, well, you have different clients to us. Our clients wouldn't want that. But the truth is, you know, it's actually it's a very subtle approach. I can't imagine a situation where you would show an interest in someone, really show that you want to listen to what they're saying, and then use that to build the plan that is relevant to them. I can't imagine someone would say, no, don't ask me those questions. No, don't engage with me in this fashion. Just look at the money. Actually, I have had one person, and that really was with them because they were uncomfortable and they weren't ready to have those sorts of conversations. But on the whole, everyone loves someone giving them their attention and showing an interest in themselves. And that's just worked for me.
That's interesting. Now, you've worked with George Kinder, who we've interviewed on this series as well. For younger advisors coming in who hear about life planning, what would you say it brings to them as individuals? What skills do you think they'll learn from it, and how will it help their business by taking the life planning route?
I'm really excited about how things are changing. You know, when you see the work that the next gen planners are doing, and you're seeing young people coming into this work with a very different, almost an excitement about what we do. I think the younger planners are getting it a bit more and are actively looking for avenues that they can take that will make sure they get the relationship bit right if that's the route they want to take. And it's exciting to me to see that more and more people are wanting to take that route.
Fantastic. Now, you were kind of very active in the early days of social media when it comes to your business and how you marketed that. I remember lots of advisors saying, you know, that there's no place for social media in a financial advice practice, but you were very active, put a lot of content out there. Just talk us through what impact that had for you and how it's come through to today.
Sure. If you recall, Phil, we did quite a lot of it together, which was a lot of fun at the time. But if I'm really honest, at the time, that it felt to me that was the only marketing route I had available to me, because I didn't have the resources, not from a financial point of view, from a people point of view, to be able to do that, to do anything else. So here was this new thing that I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. If you know, you were talking a lot about people want to see the whites of your eyes. They want to understand who you are, get to know you. I thought, well, this is a way I can do that. People can see me, see what I do, see what I stand for, I have no idea if it will make a difference. But this was 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. And it took 3 to 4 years, I think, of, you know, being quite active on social media. I'm not so active now, but I was at the time. And I started reaping the benefits 3 or 4 years into it. And I think that's what a lot of people go wrong. They start doing this stuff and they expect immediate results. And, you know, a year down the line, they're talking on return on investment and what sort of numbers can they talk about for that investment. And I just went with it and saw what was going to happen without any real expectations. And as I said, it took 3 or 4 years before I got my first client from social media. And now we are getting a really good stream. Well, I am getting a really good stream of new clients from that, from social media, but not always directly from social media.
Yeah.
One of the craziest things is that I'm getting quite a few referrals from other financial planners, but I think they found out about me through social media. So although it's not directly, indirectly, I think it's all connected.
Mm.
So I looked at that and I thought, well, if it's taken that long, but now I'm reaping the benefits, even though I'm not even that active personally, what can I do to make sure that all the other advisors in the business are also getting the same sort of results? What can I do to ensure that as a business, we're getting those sorts of results, not just me and my own personal brand? So we've looked at that and tried our best to do what's a bit more relevant now. And I think a lot of now is about video content, content marketing that is relevant to your target market. So we've engaged someone who's going to do that for us and help us with that, just to make sure we don't drop the ball and keep it going.
What have you learned about marketing? Because you were one of the first so you're using social media. You were also one of the first to have, if you like, a glossy corporate video, which was really professional. And I remember when it first went out, a lot of advisors raised their eyebrows and said, wow, not seen anything like that before. And you've gone back to doing these videos now, and they're very simple videos. Just tell us a bit more about that.
Well, when that first video came out, I was ever so proud of it. And it did get us a lot of attention and raised profile. But if you look at it now, it just looks so dated, and you're like, oh my God, that's a little bit embarrassing watching that. But it was, at the time, it was a bit groundbreaking, and it was great to be part of that. But now I think people don't want that. People don't want to see advertising-y, marketing-y type things. They want to see people. They want to see people talking. They want to see people explaining how they're feeling about things, how they're dealing with things, how they're overcoming problems. And we thought if we could tap into that, if we can articulate to our clients clearly what we think their issues are, what they struggle with, and at the same time guide them and give them some answers, and I think over the long term that will really work for us.
That's really interesting. So you've also got a coaching certificate as well, like a money coaching certificate. Just give us some of your thoughts behind what you're thinking behind that is.
Well, from the moment I got involved with life planning, and from the moment I realized that my direction was going to be a relationship approach, I felt that I had to equip myself in the best possible way. So, the life planning work was life-changing, but it was also the beginning for me of a different way of thinking, a different way of talking to people, and a different way of engaging people. So I've tried to suck up as much as I can, soak it up, and really live this new way of engaging with people. And yes, last year I did a qualification called the Money Coaching Certificate. And it was fascinating because you look at people's behaviours around money, how they make their decisions, where they acquired those behaviours. Often it's our parents or our grandparents, people that were around us as we were growing up. But also realised when I did that certificate that the most profound learning has been through this continuous self-analysis that I've been trying to do. I've achieved that more noticeably by engaging a one-to-one coach, and those sessions have really helped me look at me and how my mind works, look at the impact of my behaviour on other people,
Mm-hmm.
to try and understand how I can create, a positive experience for people in our interactions. I learned that emotions, mine and those of my clients, play such a big part in this work. So I have to understand that. If I know that emotion encodes memory, what sort of things am I trying to get my client to remember, and what emotions am I attaching around that to help them remember it in a good way? So although I did this certificate, which I'm glad I did, and I learned a lot, actually the best learning I've done are from things that didn't give me a badge, so to
Right.
speak. I am just like everyone else. If I can do something and it gives me a new qualification or a new badge, then great, I would do it. But actually, the things I've learned most from are the things that don't officially give me a badge, and have enabled me to really think about where I want to improve, the things that I want to do better, the sort of person I want to be, even more than the sort of financial planner that I want to be, and how that means I engage with people on a very human level.
And I understand you are also working with other financial planning firms. You're coaching them. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a change in direction for me over the last couple of years. I was doing all of this coaching work on myself with a view to understanding how to then deliver it back to my clients. And it turns out that other firms were coming to me and saying, can you help me with this? Can you coach me? And it turns out it's actually quite a lot of fun to do that. So yeah, I have been doing that and seeing some great results, literally just by sharing what I've learned. And it's more interesting for me to do that with financial planning firms, although I have done some executive coaching with non-financial planning firms. I'm drawn to financial planning because that's what I know. I understand this business more than any other because I have one. Yeah. I understand the challenges, the difficulties. I understand how sometimes it feels like taking this relationship approach and all the other regulatory stuff that we do and trying to merge it together could seem almost impossible to some people, and therefore they just focus on the bit that they've always done. So for me, being able to sit down with people and bring some business consultancy along with some coaching together that is truly relevant to their business, it's been so fulfilling and exciting to watch changes in people.
That's really interesting. So how do you see the profession moving forward? I mean, clearly a lot of people talk about technology and AI and robo-advice and all that mulch of stuff that's going on. How do you see things in the future, perhaps for yourself and for the wider profession?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that conversation will die down a little bit as people come to realise that the most important thing is for each business to decide very clearly what they're going to deliver to people. And if your client proposition is not dependent on things that a client can go and find out for themselves, things that they could ask Google or go to a robo-advice offering, if what you're doing is human-based, relationship-based, coaching-based, I feel that none of that stuff has any impact. It almost works alongside it. And I think with younger people, as they've grown up in this world, their expectations will be different. And some of what they are looking for can be delivered online, digitally, without human intervention, then fine. But there will come a point where the human part will still be needed, I think. And that's where relationship-based businesses will come into their own.
So with all that going on, do you think it's still possible to scale a financial advice business? I know that's something you're quite keen to do. How do firms go about doing that if that's what they want to do?
Yeah, you're right. It's if they want to do that, and I never say that anyone should run their business in any way. It has to be down to what they want to do. But if you are looking for growth, you are looking to scale up, you've done the piece around your business planning and you understand the message that you're bringing to the table and you understand what you're trying to put out there, then scaling up could be something that you incorporate into your growth plans in a way that means that your business, well, for example, my business has always wanted to be able to reach more people. I have always wanted to be able to reach more people. And I knew that one client at a time was never going to do it. So I had to create a business that can take fast growth if needed. And actually, after the lessons I learned in the credit card, also be able to scale down if I needed to. So I've always run the business with that in mind. How can we go up and down if we need to? And thankfully we're at a point now where, you know, I'm really proud of the business that we have and the people that are in it and the messages that we're giving out. How do I get it to more people? I'm at the stage where I'm feeling that acquiring other businesses is the only way I can do that, and that's what I'm in the process of doing. Yeah, it's a really interesting period for us because we're going to see some big changes coming in the next few months, but really exciting changes because it means that we can finally take all this work that we've been doing and be able to take it out there to more people.
That's fantastic. You mentioned the people there. You mentioned Jeremy down in Cornwall, and you have Caroline. I think I remember you saying years and years ago that you could never work with a recruitment firm because they could never get the type of person that you're looking for. And I kind of understand that. It's getting the right sort of cultural fit, the right way people think about their clients. Can you just tell us a little bit about how that works for you?
Well, all the people that work with me have come to me. I've never actively gone and found them myself. I've always made it clear the sort of people that I'm looking for because I always need new people that understand the way we work and want to work in this transformational way. And I've tried so hard with recruitment companies because I thought that might speed up the process for me, but just trying to explain financial life planning to them, it didn't work really. And they did try, but it hasn't been a successful route to finding more people for me.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at the profession as it is today, we're doing a few things quite well. If you were going to give a speech on the state of the nation, the financial planning world, what would you be in your speech? What do you see that is going well, and maybe what's not going so well? What does the profession need to work on?
The great thing is that we have amazing diversity in offerings. And I don't think that's a problem. Sometimes it feels like it is because it feels like clients are confused about what they could go for, what they should look for. But I think the diversity in offerings actually means that we'll be seeing client propositions differentiated in a way that hopefully becomes clearer and clearer to the consumer. Hopefully consumers will start looking for coaching type relationships if that's what they want, but understand enough to look for wealth management type relationships if that's what they want to do. So if we can, as financial planners, as the stakeholders, if you like, of this profession, be clear about our message and what we stand for, and actually if a client came to us, what they would get, what value we would bring, I'm hoping that makes it easier for consumers to differentiate between us.
That's interesting.
There's so many titles, we've called ourselves so many different things. I call myself a financial life planner and a coach, and I know that that's confusing to people. I haven't quite figured out what the best thing is. If I go back to financial advisor, which I do sometimes in social settings because it's just easier, people just expect me to sell them something, or they say, should I wait till after Brexit to buy a house, or what's the best life insurance I can get? And for me, there's so much more to what I do that I can't answer those questions for people unless we look at the bigger picture.
So trust, we touched upon this a couple of times. according to Edelman, financial services is still the least trusted industry around the world. And that's obviously, they're not talking about just financial advisors. It's right across the whole financial services piece. What does the profession need to be doing to rebuild trust in the minds of consumers?
That's a really good question, and a question that's been floating around for a long time. I don't think we're going to be able to change it overnight, and I think we still have a long road ahead of us. I don't think we are going to see a massive sea change in suddenly all consumers trusting financial planners. But one thing I know for sure is that I cannot control what everyone else is doing. I can talk about it, I can share my views, but one thing I can do, and I can do it positively, is really change what I do, to really on what I do, to show by example to my clients, to the people I work with, to other financial planning firms, how it could be, how you can deliver transformational service to clients and at the same time be profitable.
Yeah.
You know, clients get that. Clients get that you are running a business, that you need to make money, and they welcome it, because what I say to my clients is it's really important for us to have a relationship where you get everything you need, but also that's profitable to me. Because if my business is profitable, I can keep all the promises I'm making to you and your family about being around to support you and the generations to come. I can't do that if we're not profitable, and clients get it.
So given that, if there was one thing that you know now that you didn't know when you started out, what might that be? What do you wish you knew back then that you know now?
Back then, I had no idea that this way of working would work. I didn't have any real examples. I can't think of any large financial life planning firms that have coaching and relationship at its core at this level. So at that time, I really was going at it blind. You know, and that did cause me some anxiety, because it could have not worked. I knew that. I wish I could just let go of the anxiety, knowing what I know now then, so that I can just forge ahead and just keep going with what I believed in, because as it's turned out, it has worked. It does work. There is massive room for this sort of work, a massive need for it. And if I knew that then, maybe I would have been a bit less anxious and worried about what the future could be like.
Yeah, interesting. So just to kind of start wrapping up, so for those financial advisors, they hear about life planning all the time, but maybe they think it's not quite for them. What would you say? What would you say to those sort of advisors?
That's the classic question I always get asked. And the truth is, you know, first of all, you need to look at yourself and look at what sort of work do you want to be doing with clients. And if it's not for you, why? How did you reach that conclusion? One of the things I always say to people who start looking at a different way of working is, don't look at this as something in addition to being a financial planner. These are just skills that financial planners learn to be able to do, I think, do their job better, to be able to help people more. Life planning, coaching, whatever you want to call it, it is just helping. And so many clients, so many financial planners say, well, I can't do that. I'm not a coach. I'm not sure I could work in that way. I always say to them, do you want to help people? Because if you want to help people and you are helping people, you are a coach. That's all there is. Do you want to take that relationship further and really encourage people to try and find that freedom that we all want, that we all crave? If you want to be that person to inspire people and encourage and motivate and be alongside people as they really live into those things, and that is who you are, think of this work as nothing more than helping people.
That's a Great place to end. Maybe we do get too wrapped up in the titles of what we call ourselves. I see people asking that all the time in our online forums. Tina, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. Now, one of the things we're doing, we're asking everybody that we're talking to if they could maybe set a kind of challenge for our viewers to think about, something short and simple, maybe something to tackle over the next week or much longer term. What would be your challenge that you might set?
Well, that's a good question. I guess I would encourage people to really look at their relationships, not just at work, but outside of work as well. Have a look at how they're being in those relationships. Have a look at how they might see their behavior impacting someone else's behavior, because that's the starting point. That's the starting point of deciding and figuring out if this is the sort of work that you want to do, this relationship-based approach. Well, have a look at you and how you feel about engaging with people on a deeper level. How does it make you feel? What comes up for you? What can you do about it? And how does it maybe make somebody else feel? So just start to notice a bit more about how your engagement is looking to you.
That's interesting. So maybe if someone's met with a client, maybe reflect on it afterwards as to how maybe they made the person feel.
Yeah, so how were they feeling? One of the things we know is that, if I can pinpoint that during that meeting I was feeling fear or I was feeling anxious in some way, then how did me feeling that affect that client relationship? And understanding that as soon as I can get myself into what we call an attachment situation, the quicker I can get my client into the same situation, so that we can have a much more positive experience, because that's when the magic happens.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Really, really appreciate it. So if other advisors are thinking about their own business, the future of their business, or maybe to have coaching themselves, where can they find you?
Oh, well, it's easy to find me. Put Tina Weeks in Google, you should get the details, but it's Serenity Financial Planning. I'm on all the social media platforms, and I'm always happy to help anyone that thinks my approach might be useful to them.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tina Weeks. Really appreciate you being with us today. For the benefit of everybody watching, if you want to take up Tina's challenge, you have the opportunity now to join a private forum where you can look at all the challenges that have been put in there and pick up the ones that you want to try and follow, report back on how you're getting on, maybe get an accountability partner as well. So once again, thank you so much to you, Tina. Really appreciate you being here today, and thanks for watching, everybody else.